Hey, thanks for checking out this video of our middle school ministry service for students in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 with Mount Pleasant Christian Church. My name is Mike Sheely. I'm the middle school pastor, and we're thankful that you're connecting on here. If you didn't already know, we do have live in-person services at our church going on right now. They happen on Saturdays from 6 to 7:10 p.m. and Sundays from 9:15 to 10:20 a.m. at our Student Ministry Center. We know that some of you are sick, some of you are quarantined, some are just not able to be here, and some this weekend are on their way back from fall break. And so we wanted to make sure that whatever your reason for not being able to be at service, we wanted to provide you with the teaching and a little connection here online. And so this video, if you didn't catch on or know, because you can watch it any day, any time, it premieres on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. And the whole reason for that is so you can watch the whole video start to finish, and then you can join your family for the online service, our whole church service, at live.mpcc.info at 11 o'clock a.m. and you can worship together after this is done. Obviously, you're watching this after that point, then you kind of know when next week will come out if you are going to be gone, or you need to have that as a connection for you as well. For our teaching time today, you need to have a Bible, either a print or a Bible app, then a pen and paper for some notes or the event notes in the Bible app. Any problems finding those notes, you can look at mpcc5678.com/online, and we have a little instruction there on finding the notes in the Bible app. We also, in person, have a station set up for students to write answers down to questions on Post-it notes and put them up. Can't quite do that when you're not here live, but the next best thing is to use Cluster and answer questions on there. If you are already part of our album, then you'll see those questions and you can hop on there and answer and see how other students have answered. If you're not part of that album, you can go to that same hub online at mpcc5678.com/online and find out how to join that album. All right, it's time for us to dig into week 2 of our series, This or That. All right, this or that. We started this last week talking about comparison, how comparison is the way we measure this in our lives against that in someone else's life. And we said that's not healthy, can lead to a lot of different feelings and a lot of different attitude and action changes. And today, we're talking specifically about one feeling that comes up with comparison, and that is jealousy. Jealousy is when you want what somebody else has. And for me, this takes me back to my 8th grade year in the hallway at Plano Junior Senior High, where I was, 1991, in my spring semester. In the hallway walks my friend Mark Yunt, and he has a pair of black Air Jordan 6s on. Now, if you're not a sneakerhead, don't know what those are, this is what they look like. They are my favorite pair of Jordans. Out of all the ones that have come out over the years, they've re-released them as a retro pair. They're awesome. I don't know what it is about them. I just like the design of these and the colorway more than any else that's out there. In fact, I even looked up this week to see what a pair would cost me to get a size 12 right now. It's somewhere around $400. And I don't know about you, but that's way too much money for me to spend on shoes. So they still sit as something that I would like to have, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money on. Well, in middle school, when I saw that Mark Yunt had those, it didn't necessarily impact our friendship. It wasn't that kind of a jealousy, but it was one of those things where I wanted what he had. And we want to talk about that today, because I'm guessing that hasn't changed a whole lot for students that are in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade today, that you want what someone else has and you experience jealousy. So think about the answer to this. How about for you? I told you about me. What's one thing someone your age might be jealous about? Maybe what's one thing that you wish you had that you know somebody else has? Think about that, and you can answer that question on Cluster. When we're jealous, it can lead to some bad feelings. It can lead insecurity, where you're no longer really confident in who you are or thankful for what you have, because you're like, I don't have what that person has. I'm not as good as they are at this. And so you start to feel less about yourself. It can also make you feel unhappy, right? You're going along, having a great day, and all of a sudden, boom, that person has more friends than you. That person made the team and you didn't. That person has the clothes that you wish you had. And now your happiness has gone away. And it can even move to the next level of where you're angry. You're actually mad at that person because they have or are something that you aren't or wish you had. And that's like the worst of where jealousy can lead us, is where it actually damages and hurts that kind of a friendship. It can also be on the flip side. If you realize that you are successful at something that other people wish that they were, or you have something that other people wish they had, it can lead you to feel pretty good about your life because you're better than somebody else. And that's a bad thing. You should feel good about your life, but not because somebody else wishes they had it. That's not healthy. That jealousy affects our relationship with other people. It can affect you because you want what somebody else has and you become unhappy, insecure, and even angry at them. Or it can happen because you feel really good because you have or are good at things that other people wish that they were, and you feel better than somebody else. The problem is it's a big cycle. If you feel really good about yourself today, tomorrow you're going to realize that somebody else is better than you or has something that you don't, and now you're the one on that jealous end. It's never a good thing to be in. It keeps us from celebrating the good things that are all around us. When we have a great family, when we have friends, when we have things that we're good at, but we get focused on what somebody else has that we don't, we can't celebrate what we have because we're so focused on what we don't have. So here's this question. How do we keep ourselves from letting jealousy and comparison change the way we see ourselves and others? How do we not fall into this trap? Well, jealousy is a thing that's been a problem for a long time. And there's a lot of examples throughout the Bible that tell us of people who had to fight through this. One that we're going to look at just briefly today, you can dig in more if you want to later, is the story of David, specifically in 1 Samuel. In the book of 1 Samuel, it's talking about David, who was a shepherd boy that became a mighty warrior when he went in and he fought off Goliath, this giant, when all the rest of the soldiers didn't want to. And after that battle, they were coming home, and the people were celebrating David and the other soldiers. Now, at the time, the king at that time was a man named Saul. And he liked David. I mean, who wouldn't like someone that makes your army famous, that wins a victory for your team? But as he heard the way the people were celebrating the army coming back, there was a comparison going on, and he got caught up in that. So we're going to look at 1 Samuel chapter 18, just at verses 8 and 9 today. If you want to read the whole story, there's a whole lot more going on. But we want to look specifically at how does Saul react when he's being compared to David, and does he do that in a healthful, peaceful way, or does he do that in a way where jealousy comes in and creates a problem? So let's look at this. This made Saul very angry. "What's this?" he said. "They credit David with 10,000s and me with only thousands. Next they'll be making him their king." So from that time on, Saul kept a jealous eye on David. The people were celebrating. They were celebrating David and what a great victory he had. But because the numbers made him sound better than Saul, Saul wasn't happy. Jealousy, that comparison, created a problem for them. And it got so bad that not only did Saul no longer like David, there were multiple times he actually tried to kill David. It became an obsession for him. It ruined his happiness, his contentment. He couldn't be happy for all that he had as king because he was comparing himself to David. So David and Saul is an example for us of people where that simple kind of comparison, a king was jealous because this soldier, this boy, was being celebrated and he couldn't handle it, and it messed the relationship up. And that's what jealousy does. It makes it where we can't celebrate others or ourselves. Saul should have been happy for David and what he had done in battle. He should have been able to celebrate that victory, but he couldn't. In our lives, jealousy can affect us the same way. I can't be happy for somebody else who made the team because I didn't make the team. I can't be excited for somebody who's having a great experience with their family right now because I'm not having that experience. Think about it. Maybe even this week, we find it hard to celebrate somebody else who got to go on a cool vacation or got to travel and see family and friends because we were stuck on a staycation at home. Jealousy keeps us from being able to celebrate that. Maybe we even forgot the fact that we had some amazing weather this week and got to enjoy beautiful fall days because we're so focused on what we didn't get to have. Well, check out this verse from Proverbs. It says, "A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body. Jealousy is like cancer in the bones. This is a powerful and painful image. That jealousy being a cancer in the bones, it reminds us that it impacts our lives from the inside out. Jealousy makes you insecure and unhappy and even angry with others, or you get puffed up with pride when you see that others don't have what you have and they want it, and it hurts how you treat not only yourself but other people. It destroys us from the inside out. Your bones are a strong part of your structure and how God made you, but when you have cancer in the bone, when that affects you that way, it eats at your body from the inside. And this writer of Proverbs, this wisdom literature, is saying the same thing about jealousy, that it eats you up from the inside. It destroys you. Saul was a man who should have been able to celebrate what was going on in his kingdom, but he was consumed with what he didn't have. David had peace in his life because he wasn't trying to compare to Saul. He was just doing what God was leading him to do, and he had that kind of healthy whole life because of it. When we stop comparing, we can be better, and we can celebrate ourselves and others. When we stop comparing what we have or don't have, or who we are or aren't, all of a sudden we can be happy with what we have. And we can celebrate what's going on in our life and what's happening for other people. So the question then becomes, how can we stop comparing and being jealous and start celebrating others and ourselves? We've got those two emojis there on the screen for stop, to stop comparing and being jealous, and to celebrate others and ourselves. Not stop celebrating, stop being jealous, and start celebrating others. So how do we do that? Let me give you two things you can do this week to help you stop comparing and being jealous and start celebrating others and yourself. First of all, start with you. Look at what you have in your life to be thankful for. Look at what you have in your life that God has provided for you. Maybe it's not everything that you want it to be right now, but what do you have to be thankful for? Not in comparison to anybody else, but what could you sit down and go, you know what? This is a great characteristic of who I am. This is something in my life that I'm thankful for. This is something that brings me joy and happiness, and I should be thankful and excited about it in my life. And then from there, celebrate somebody else. And my challenge this week, if you really want to go to that next level, is not just celebrate anybody, but think about the person that you're jealous of and celebrate them. Maybe you didn't make the team, but they did, so you celebrate them and what they're accomplishing on the team. If you go back to starting with you, you should be proud that you even tried out for the team. But when you don't make it, instead of being jealous about somebody else, celebrate them. If somebody else is more popular, instead of being jealous about that, just celebrate the fact they have great friends. Maybe this is a big step for you, so you start with prayer. Praying for that person can be extremely hard when you're jealous. So ask God to soften your heart and change you so that you wouldn't have that hard heart of jealousy. You wouldn't have that cancer in your bones, but that you would, in a healthy way, be able to celebrate somebody else. Pray for them, that God would help them and work through them, and that you would no longer be jealous, but you have a healthy relationship with them. When we stop comparing, we can better celebrate others and ourselves. That's our goal, to live a life of celebration, of being thankful, not fake, but genuinely happy for someone because of what's going on in our friendship with them. So this week, what's one thing you can do to celebrate someone else? What's one thing you can do to stop comparing and being jealous and to start actually being happy for someone else, to celebrate them even? Think about that. Answer it and cluster today. If you want to, put a note on there, maybe see what somebody else has done. Our goal is that you would stop this trap of comparison, especially when it leads to jealousy. You would find the peace and contentment, the joy, the celebration that comes when you can focus on somebody else and be thankful for what you have. Let me wrap this up with prayer for today. God, thank you for what you're doing in our lives, helping us to become more and more in every way like Jesus. Help us to not get caught up in trying to compare what we don't have or what we're not as good as somebody else, but help us to see what you've done and are doing in our lives and be thankful for that, to celebrate that, and then to look out at others, not in comparison, but for an opportunity to celebrate them. Help these to be more than words that we say in a service, but actions that we do in our week of coming more like Jesus. Amen. All right, hey, as we wrap up today, just want to remind you, if you haven't already, we've got a great 21-day reading plan that goes along with this or that series to help you on a daily basis work through comparison. It doesn't take a lot of time to read these devotionals each day, but man, that really helps to spend every day reminded and refocused on what it means to be content and to celebrate and not get caught in comparison. You can find a link for that in the Bible event notes or at mpcc5678.com/online. We also have clusters where you can go in and comment on there and share what's going on. And then if you want to join us in person, Saturdays at 6 or Sundays at 9:15. Otherwise, you can check out this video each Sunday at 10:15 before you worship with your family at 11. Thanks for joining us today. We are thrilled to have this kind of connection with you. And if you feel like you've got a prayer request you want to share or something that you are thankful for that you want to celebrate, we've got a connection link in the video description where you can fill out that form and submit that to us. You can do that anytime to help us celebrate with you so we can celebrate ourselves and others. Have a great week.